3 great ways to remove rust from kitchen utensils. Rust is one of our biggest enemies when it comes to most surfaces and utensils. The passage of time, exposure to air and humidity, or contact with chemical products all take away from the beauty things had when they were brand new. Now, you probably don't want to throw them away or use large amounts of chemicals, right? If so, it's time to try out these 3 great, natural ways to remove rust. First of all, it's important to remember that to keep rust from appearing, the best thing is to keep everything well maintained on a daily basis. You should try to clean and dry your pots, pans and silverware and take care of your sink every day. This is, without a doubt, what makes them always look good. It also guarantees healthiness. However, we all have that one favorite frying pan that has a little rust on the bottom or handle and we just don't want to get rid of it. And if this sounds like you, pay attention to this advice. It will be very helpful. 1. Scrubbing pads and baking soda for rust. You can find scrubbing pads or sponges at your local supermarket. Make sure to pick some up, because they are going to be very useful. Now, to guarantee the effectiveness of this advice, the key is our star ingredient, baking soda. What do you need? Scrubbing pads. Baking soda, the amount depends on the size of the surface you're going to clean. Instructions. Start by heating up a little water. Then, put it in a container with the baking powder. Only add enough water to make a paste. The amount depends on the size of the object or surface you're cleaning. You need to add this baking powder paste to the scrubbing pad or sponge. Then, you can use it to scrub the rusty surface. Remember that if you're too rough, you can damage the utensil. Do it carefully and then set it aside for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, rinse with normal water. The following steps are very important. They will guarantee that your rusty pot, pan or knife will be ready to be used. You need to dry it thoroughly with a paper towel. Once this is done, you should rub a little bit of olive oil on it. Cover the whole surface and then you can put it away. You love the results? 2. Coarse salt and lemons. This process is easy, fast, and best of all, cheap. While your kitchen utensils might have some rust, it's also likely that your sink has some, too. It might just be a corner, but you probably still find it a real eyesore. This is very common. With time, use or the buildup of lime, the surface loses its shine little by little. Rust can usually be found around the faucet, or in corners that keep the humidity. Take advantage of this natural cleaning product if you want to keep this from happening and keep your kitchen bright and healthy. What do you need? Coarse salt. The amount depends on the surface you are going to clean. 1/2 of a lemon. Instructions. Take a lemon and cut it in half. Then, put some coarse salt on the half of the lemon. You are going to use the lemon just like a scrubbing pad or sponge. Take out all of the rusty things you want to clean. Then, use these 2 ingredients to scrub them. When you see that the coarse salt has disappeared, add a new teaspoon. Little by little, you'll see it taking the rust away. Let it rest for 5 minutes, then rinse. Lastly, do the same thing you did with the last remedy. If you are doing this to a frying pan, dry it with a paper towel and cover it with a thin layer of olive oil. If you're cleaning the sink, you should dry it with a paper towel. By doing this, you get an instant shine. 3. Restore old utensils with a lot of rust. This can be done in the event that you want to restore an old tool. This might be a family heirloom or some object that time and rust have taken over. Can you really still restore these old, rusty objects? Yes. Well, tell you how. What do you need? Aluminum foil. The amount depends on the surface or tool you are going to clean. Juice from 1 lemon. White vinegar. The amount depends on the surface or tool you are going to clean. Instructions. First, you should try to take off the most rust possible. To do this, start by cutting the aluminum foil in 1-inch strips. Then, make balls with them and dip them in the lemon juice. After that, it's time to scrub the utensil or surface. Once you've gotten a large amount of rust off, prepare the second phase. For this step, you have to put the utensil in a bucket and completely soak it in white vinegar. Leave it there overnight. The next day, return to the first remedy we mentioned with a scrubbing pad and baking soda. Give these easy tricks a try, and before you know it, your frying pans and utensils will look like new. It is, however, possible that really old utensils won't be perfect. If this happens, you'll have to turn to harsher, more abrasive chemicals like hydrochloric acid. Remember, the best thing to do is to clean your utensils daily to prevent any buildups of rust.